my father wasn't the man I wanted to be. He wasn't the man that I admired and I respected in the way that, like, hey, I envision myself becoming this man. I admire this, right? I believe it's everyone's obligation to become what they admire, right? Acquire what they admire. So if they really respect a great physique, big chest, shredded veins popping, they should acquire that, right? If they really respect a man who's a committed husband with kids that provides for them and protects them, then he needs to become that. If he admires somebody who's rich and abundant and drives cars and has a nice house and doesn't have to worry about money, he should become that man. If he admires somebody who's rare, that wakes up super early in the morning, who lives a very disciplined and hard life, right, by choice, he should become that. He should become ripped, rich, and rare. But me with my father, guys, for years, man, you know, I love my father to death, but he wasn't ultimately the man I wanted to become, right? He's an alcoholic, right? He, from age of 16 to 41 years old, he never had a day without drinking alcohol unless he was in jail, right? My dad has gone to jail multiple times in his life. He didn't grow up with the greatest parents, you know, and that's the reason he ended up, you know, being the way he was. And he had me at a very young age, had me around 18, 19 years old. And as we grew up as friends, right? He was still finding his way in life, you know, and he didn't have the greatest role models, and he was a lost kid. And, you know, he had this son, and he was just treated me like a friend, right? He would tell me his stories about being in gangs and breaking laws, breaking into houses, going to jail, you know, getting wasted, getting drunk, having sex with random women, and doing all this stuff, right? Like it was cool. And then he told me that, you know, I should do that stuff too. And ultimately, you know, as I was growing up, you know, I had my first couple beers with my dad and started smoking weed because of my dad. And, you know, and then eventually around the age of 16, I moved in with my father. About 16 and a half, I moved in with my father in Carson City, Nevada. And ultimately, that's where I kind of went into the wrong direction. I ended up, you know, really getting into partying every weekend, breaking laws, you know, doing trespassing and spray painting and graffitiing and you know, smoking a lot of weed every day, partying on the weekends, getting blacked out drunk. You know, I snuck into my first couple bars with my dad and, you know, was drinking beers with my dad and doing all this stuff, right? And, right, but I didn't know. I was a lost kid too, just like he was. Ultimately, going down that path, though, showed me, you know, reflecting on it now, my dad had man boobs. He ate crappy. He didn't respect his body. He drank every single day. He would smoke weed. He would do other drugs, even at 30, 40 years old. And he would party. He would go to bars. He would blow his whole check at the casino. He would have sex with random women. He would have uncommitted relationships where they would yell at each other and scream at each other and cheat on each other and do all this stuff, you know? As I was growing up and through his 20s and 30s, right? As I was growing up, when I graduated, 18 years old, I moved out. He was around 38, 39 years old, right? And, you know, I went on my own journey. I moved to San Jose, California, and I've been on my own journey the last 3-4 years, right? And I've really been reflecting on that now, as it's my duty and obligation to become the man I respect, to become the man I admire in every single way, right? Financially, with my purpose, with my relationship with my woman, with my body, right? I want to be rich, ripped, and rare. I want to be a man of God, a man of faith, living a life of purpose and service, right? And really becoming that man. And I realize, as much as I love and respect my father in many ways, right? I see that through my entire growing up, he wasn't the man that I wanted to be, right? He wasn't the man I wanted to be, right? And so I was always looking up to mentors online, watching people on YouTube, just like you are right now. I would, you know, read all these books, and I was looking for a father figure. I was looking for a male figure that I respected, that I admired. And that's ultimately why, you know, at a very young age, 16 years old, I was on the journey to find this on my own. And once I left my father's, I was hiring different coaches, reading so many books, joining different programs, and a lot of the people I looked up online, I've actually built relationships with. I hired them. I'd pay tens of thousands of dollars to get around those men because I admire their work ethic, their mindset, their discipline, their money. I admire certain aspects of that about them as a father figure, as a male figure, because I didn't have that growing up, right? I didn't have that growing up. And as much as I love and respect my father for putting me on this earth and trying to be a part of my life as much as he could, for majority of my life, I only saw my dad 1 or 2 weeks out of the year until the age of 16 and a half, until I moved in with him for about maybe 2 years. Right? I moved in with him. And when I moved in with him, ultimately, that's why I started, getting into drugs and smoking and dealing and breaking laws and really living a life of sin in so many ways and going down the wrong path. I dropped out of basketball. My GPA, went down to the ground. I started, not going to school and really started doing a whole bunch of bad stuff, right? Or not, just being a lost, confused kid. And that's why I believe, if you're a father right now or, eventually, even if you don't want to have kids, I highly recommend you should, but you need to become the man you admire in every single way. And you need to see hey, do I really want to be the father that has a gut, that has body fat, that doesn't have, do I really want my kid? Because your kid is going to look up to you, regardless if you, he's not going to come exactly like you, but he's going to be a big reflection of you when it comes to your limiting beliefs and your identity about yourself, right? My dad has so many limiting beliefs about money and relationships and so many aspects. His emotional maturity was very low in a lot of ways, where that rubbed off on me. And I've been on this personal development journey for years, trying to develop those weaknesses and to learn more and become more, right? But ultimately, that became a part of my purpose. So you need to look at that within yourself. It's hey, what you need to become the man that you needed growing up, that you admired growing up, that your father wasn't. Your father might have been great or not, and what you really liked about him, that you respected and admired, embody that. But the things that you didn't, you need to improve. It's your duty and obligation to improve for your family, your future kids, the kids that you have now. So if you have man tits, if you have man boobs, if you have stubby, all this fat, right? You need to get rid of that. If you're an undisciplined man, you're not rare, you don't wake up super early every single day, don't live a disciplined, hard life, aren't working out, aren't on your nutrition, guess what? That's going to rub off on your kids. They're going to be undisciplined, weak, fat, skinny, no muscle men, right? So it's your duty and obligation to put on the muscle, get ripped, live a hard, disciplined life. So for your kids, for your wife, for your girlfriend, for the people who look up to you or would look up to you if you were the man that you respected and admired. If you don't respect and admire yourself, they won't either. So it's the same thing when it comes to your financial and your business. If you just work a 9 to 5 or whatever, they're going to just too. If you're just working whatever just to make money, they will too. But if you're going to live a life of purpose and something more meaningful and more passionate, that actually you get up every single day and you're happy and you're living a purpose-driven life and you're just going for greatness, right? That's going to rub off on them. Right? If you're financially secure and financially abundant and you build real wealth, that's going to rub off on them. Doesn't mean you just give them a whole bunch of money, but they see your work ethic, they see your mindset, they see how you make decisions, right? And that's going to rub off on them. If you're a committed man, meaning you're not talking to your wife a certain type of way, you're not cheating on your girlfriend, you treat her a certain type of way, right? And she treats you a certain type of way because you're a man and you run the relationship the way that you respect and the way that you want to run it, right? That's going to rub off on your kids of hey, daddy, that's how a man should treat a woman. Hey, dad, that's how a woman treats a man and a man treats a woman. That's a relationship I respect. But if you're just a man that's, uncommitted and has an average or a shitty relationship, right, that's ultimately going to rub off on your kids as well. So it's your duty and obligation to become the man you admire and respect, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your girlfriend, for your wife, for your kids, for your future kids. It's your duty and obligation to do so, right? become the man you admire, become the father that you needed growing up. All right, guys, because that's I have to thank my father so much for raising me that way, because ultimately your pain in your life becomes your power. And if you choose to, and you see it that way, that pain becomes your power, and ultimately that power becomes your purpose, right? So everything that you wanted your father to be, it's your job to be that, right? All right, guys, this is Devin Karp with DC Fitness and my Spartan Gods. I believe in you guys. Make that change. Become the man you respect and admire in every single way. All right, guys, find me at Devin Karp on Facebook and Instagram for free content. Connect with me there. If you want to join my coaching program, DM me the word elite to get in the best shape of your life in every single area of your life, and ultimately become the man you respect and you admire financially in your relationships and your mindset and fitness. All right, guys, I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, follow, like it, all of that great stuff. Peace out. God bless. Talk to you guys soon.